using our sense of the world to make sense of the world. World peace through individual strength, waking the worlds up physically, mentally, spiritually, and then physically again. Why? To feel better. How? Your only no-nonsense podcast. Brought to you through the Best Feeling Network. It is 5:46 a.m. on Thursday. Good morning. Good morning. I hope you have been able to feel the weight of the body down the front of the spine and into the rainbow arches at all of the times. Today, it is Thursday, August 5th, 2021, 5:47 a.m. How are you doing? Good morning. It is Truth Hurts Day. Today, we talk about being too smart. What is too smart? What is smart? And how can you be too smart? Here on Truth Hurts Days with your host Herbie. Good morning. This is Pal Go On. We'll be right back. Oh. Herbie like. Good morning, everybody. Good morning, everybody. I hope you're able to feel great today. How are you doing? As we are about to stretch our self-awareness like a muscle this morning and feel so great from the inside out. As you can see from my shirt today, feeling so great from the inside out always. Good morning. If you would please pretend with me as we are remembering to always feel so good on the inside or from the inside out here every morning at 5:30 a.m. on Pal Go On. I would like to invite you to please pretend with me that there is a candle, a lit candle in front of the lips that you're trying to not put out. To leave your swallowing muscles alone and to simply observe your sense of self as you do this. Again, that's would you with me? Please pretend that there is a candle in front of the lips that you're trying to not put out. As well as to leave your swallowing muscles alone and simply to observe your sense of self as this happens. Would you with me, please pretend that there is a candle in front of the lips you're trying to not put out. To leave your swallowing muscles alone as you do so and simply observe your sense of self. Your first podcast in 3D, would you please one more time pretend with me that there's a candle in front of the lips that you're trying to not put out? As you leave your swallowing muscles alone. One more time to get that nice 3D feeling getting inside you. Would you please pretend that there's a candle in front of the lips that you're trying to not put out? And to leave your swallowing muscles alone as you observe your sense of self. How this affects your sense of self. As you're always remembering to allow all of these words to enter one ear and then out the other. Here every day, every morning on Pao Go On. And in 5 seconds, we're going to move forward, but for now, pretend that there's a candle in front of the lips. Try to not put out your swallowing muscles all the way alone. Don't think about breathing in and out. If it happens, then it happens, but simply continue remembering that there's a candle in front of the lips that you're trying to not put out, and to leave your swallowing muscles alone. To do so and observe your sense of self. What are we here to do on Pao Go On? Talk about all those things that are so hard to describe, but isn't it so easy to feel, like pretending there's a candle in front of the lips you're trying to not put out, and to leave your swallowing muscles alone as you do so. As you're stretching yourself, awareness like a muscle today. Feeling so good on the inside out, as in whatever you are doing right now, whether you are kicking off the blankets, whether you are fixing your bed, maybe you're fixing your hair right now. Perhaps you are turning on the TV, giving it a few good taps to get the reception quite right. Do they still have reception where you are? Or are we completely wired? Feeling so good from the inside out, as you are kicking that blanket off. Have you ever noticed how you can feel like your back right elbow if you wanted to? And then also like the inside of your mouth at the same time? Two totally differently spatially areas. But at the same time, you can feel them as if they're in the same spot, your body, right? And yet, when you were to describe this to somebody, if you were to describe the way that the inside of your mouth feels to somebody, how many words would that take? Slimy, ridgy, drier than usual, more wet than usual, choked up, free, elastic and comforting, normal, abnormal. So many words you can use to describe the state, right? And then if you're to describe your position of your left arm right now, crooked, straight, higher than my right shoulder, lower than your right shoulder, how would you describe your left arm? Heavy, not heavy, swollen, not swollen. All these different states of it yet, right? Yet, you know, in one fell swoop, kind of just how it feels in your body. If someone says to say, hey, become aware of your left arm really quick, or become aware of the way your hair feels on your head, or become aware of your lower back right now. Can you not become aware of all those things at the same time? But how are you to describe those relationships with one another? If you were to describe in words the relationship between where your left elbow is right now and your back right ribs and your tongue, how many words would it describe? How many words did it just take for me to describe all of those things to you? How many words would it take for you to describe now this new position to somebody else, and then furthermore to yourself in language? But now, how easy is it to just feel, right? How hard is it to describe all that postural stuff, that body stuff? How hard is it to describe all those things in this linear language in order for not just other people to understand, but even our own brains to understand? How many words does it take to do that, to describe something like our body's posture or our body's relationship with itself? How hard is it to describe with language those things? And yet, how easy is it to feel if someone says to describe the position of your left arm compared to the position of your right shoulder? How hard is it to describe? And then how hard is it to feel? How hard is it to describe to the outside world, and then also to yourself, because we use language to describe things to ourselves? How hard is it to describe all those postural and body human things that are just us? But yet, how easy is it to feel? Truth Hurts Day. Talk about too smart. What the heck is too smart? How can you be too smart? Well, what is smart and how can you be too much of it? What is smart and how can you be too smart? What is smart and how can you be too much of it? Kind of this relationship with this word smart, right? And how can we have too much of it? Well, we look at smart. Isn't smart something about having to deal with problems, right? How can we deal with problems? How are you able to overcome and solve problems? Being smart. We usually associate smart with problems on the outside world. How well can you solve this problem? How well can you solve this math problem? How well can you formulate this sentence? How well can you formulate these thoughts? How well can you answer this professor's questions? How well can you get grades? How good are your grades? Right? We associate smart with those kinds of things, right? Do we not? Is that not true? So we focus on smartness with being, so we define smartness as being this ability to handle problems in the outside world, like, you know, solving like how many using algebra, how many cupcakes will you need to sell in order to make rent this week, month. Another problem solving might be, oh, how do I present myself so that I look proper to these people so that I get the message that I'm trying to get across? Another way you might be smart is, oh, I might say the right words to these people so that I get the proper reaction that I want. That's a smart thing to do. If you're trying to get a job, you might be smart by saying the right words. Might be a smart thing to do to speak professionally. How can you be smart in the medical field? Well, you know what your job's going to be, so it might be smart to be able to recall all the information that you need to do your job properly. Because you have a problem in that you need to be this nurse thing. You need to be this medical profession thing, and so you should be able to do your job properly. So there's a problem, which is that you must do your job properly, which means you must have all this such knowledge at your fingertips. So it would be smart to be able to have those things at your knowledge, right? Or at your fingertips. Smart, this ability to handle problems on the outside. So is it possible to be too smart? On the Truth Hurts Day, as we're feeling so good from the inside out, is it possible to be too smart? Well, as we know, being smart is about dealing with problems in the outside world. But as we know, there is no such thing as the outside world. There is no such thing as the outside world. So concerning yourself too much with the problems of the outside world rather than the problems of the inside world makes you too smart. As in, what is the point of life? Are we all not trying to get needs met? Are we all not trying to get needs met in life? Right? That we have a relationship with ourselves, and that we are trying to get our needs met, as in ourselves have these needs. And we have a relationship with whether or not we get these needs and how we go about getting these needs met. Is that not true? Life is just here. We're just getting our needs met every day. Our happiness needs, our pleasure needs, love needs, food needs, sleep needs, everything needs. Maslow's law of needs. We have needs. So what are we here to do? Solve problems, which are needs. Needs are problems which have not been solved yet. Is it possible to be too smart? Well, if we're just here to get our needs met, then is there a way to be too much of something that does not get you your needs met? Does being smart get you your needs met? What are we here to do? Just get our needs met, right? On Earth. What are we here on Earth? What are we here in life to do? Just to get our needs met? So if we're trying to get our needs met, is it possible to be too smart? If we're just here to get our needs met, is it possible to be too smart? What is smart? If we are just here to get our needs met, is it possible to be too smart? Well, if smart is focused on problems on the outside world, if being smart is being focused on the outside world, is it possible to then be too smart? If we're just here to get our needs met, we're just here to get our needs met. One more time, is it possible to be too smart? We'll be right back after a short break. Is it possible to be too smart? We'll be right back. Using our sense of the world to make sense of the world. World peace through individual inner peace. Waking the worlds up physically, mentally, spiritually, and then physically again. Why? To feel so much better in that body of yours, that godlike window. That window to that godlike experience that you are. And with the help of your Only No Nonsense podcast, this is Pal Go On. Good morning, everybody. I hope you're able to have a feel-good break. Is it possible to be too smart, guys? Is it possible to be too smart? Well, if smartness has to do with overcoming problems of the outside world, wouldn't there have to be problems of the outside world to begin with? Wouldn't there have to be problems in the outside world to begin with? For us to be smart, for us to be too smart. No, there have to be problems on the outside world to begin with. And what do I mean by that? As in, are there any problems in the outside world that concern you? Or are there only inside world problems? Let me explain. You might be like, well, Herbie, I'm financially crippled. Well, Herbie, these people right now are making me feel uncomfortable. And that's an issue that I can't solve. And I can't solve. I can't solve those problems, but they're right in front of me and they're outside world problems. What do you mean, Herbie? These people are outside of my body. These people outside of my body are not greed. They are not lust. They are not wrath. They are not laziness. There are people outside of me aggressing onto my experience. They're making me feel uncomfortable. How do I deal with that? What do you mean that there are no outside problems? But why the heck are you over there? Why are you around people who would be disrespecting you? Why are you over there in that situation? Why are they stressed out? So many questions. Why are you over there and not somewhere else? There's infinity places. We know that your capabilities are so amazing. We know that you're this human being, this amazing window to this godlike experience, you godlike creature, you. You're this crazy experience, right? We already know that you have all this potential. So why are you there and not somewhere else? What inside world problems are you trying to solve such that you needs to be around these people? Such that these people matter that much to you, such that this job matters that much to you, such that anything matters that much to you? What inner problems are not being met? What inner needs are not being met such that the way these people feel about you is such an issue? What inner needs are not being met such that you need to be around these people in the first place? What inner needs are not being met? You might have problems in the outside world. You might have problems coming at you from every which direction in the world. That's true. You're not wrong. You're not wrong that there will always be problems coming at you. You're in the crossfire of problems from the outside world at all times and the inside world at all times. You are in the crossfire of two worlds that have no problem shoveling all of their concerns on you to make you feel like you have problems that are oppressing you from both sides. There are problems on the outside world that might be at first alarming, concerning as we are looking at the world. There might be problems out there, but are we able to know any of those problems? Are we able to understand any of those problems? It might feel like you are constantly being. It might feel like you're submerged in problems from the outside world, from every which direction. Why are those problems your problems? There are infinity problems out in the world. Not saying that you shouldn't have problems. Everybody has problems. It's pretty much what allows you to see what matters to you. But rather, why specifically those problems and not one of the other infinity problems in the world that exists? We know you are this human experience. You are this universe inside of you. You are this intense universe of an experience, logging all this information that you yourself have experienced and you yourself want. It's a combination of all those things in the way that you're brought up before you can even remember consciousness. All these things being downloaded into your body, this entire personality being constructed from the ground up. So knowing all those experiences that are taken with you, unlike the experiences of the places that you go, the places that you go are more or less revolving around you, are they not? Kind of like you in the center of this stage where the background continuously swaps, whoosh, 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 where the background is continuously swapping from location to location. You are at the focal point of your experience. Is that not true? So are all these problems, these hopes, these dreams, these shortcomings, these successes, are they not kept within your body as well as you as the center point of this entire experience that you have? Is it not always kept within inside of you? The problems that concern you that you see in the outside world, do they not first exist within you? Because why are you around those problems to begin with? Were you not being taken on a gigantic goose chase, a long course of attention, string of awareness might have you, to arrive you at this situation, at this place where you find yourself watching this TV or watching that event in the street? Why are you there and not somewhere else? Well, because these things concern you. Why do they concern you? Because there are inner problems as well as outside problems that are concerning you every day. You are stuck in this crossfire. You are stuck as the meniscus, this middle boundary in this crossfire between problems that seem to concern your consciousness from the outside world as well as the inside world. You were stuck in the crossfire between problems that concern you from the outside world as well as the inside world. So how can you be too smart? Well, aren't we just here to solve needs? How can you be too smart? Well, aren't we just here to solve needs? Aren't we just here to get our needs met? And what are needs if not problems from the inside world? So we have problems in the outside world, right? We see needs on the outside world. But we're also bombarded with needs from the inside world. We have needs from the inside world. Problems from the inside world and problems from the outside world. So is it possible to be too smart? Well, if we're just here to get our needs met, right? Because even saving the world, let's say you care about everybody so much, is that not a need inside of you? Be it natural or whatever it may, is that not a need you have? To feel like you're saving the world or to save the world, right? Is that not a human need? So if we're just here to get our needs met, which may include many things, may include personal needs, the need to breathe, the need to eat, the need to sleep, the need for love, need for companionship, the need for food, the need for travel, the need for freedom. And so we have those needs on the inside. We have these problems on the outside, right? So is it possible to be too smart? Well, if we're just here to get our needs met, I guess we saw being smart as one of the ways to get our needs met. But is it the way to get needs met, being smart? By looking at the outside problems, the outside world to get our needs met. Is that the way to get our needs met? Is that the way to solve our inside world problems? By solving outside world problems? By being smart enough to solve outside world problems? Is that how we get our inside world problems met, or inside world problems solved? Is it by solving outside world problems? To get our needs met, is the way to do it by solving problems in the outside world? To get our needs met, do we need to solve problems in the outside world? One more time. To get our needs met, do we need to solve problems on the outside world? You know? Do you? It's a good question. It's a good question. It's not a trivial question, right? To put a reversal on it, is it possible to solve issues and to resolve chaos? Is it possible to resolve tension in the outside world to resolve the tension in our inside world? Is it possible to solve problems in the outside world to solve problems on the inside world? Once upon a time when you were a child, it is a better strategy in solving our inside world problems, which we are here to do. Every creature is there to solve their inside world problems, whether that be searching for meaning or simply searching for a good breath. Those are both problems. Since we only concern ourselves with inside world problems, is it possible, or was it the best strategy at some point in our lives to solve our inside world problems, as every creature needs to do, by being hyper focused on the outside world? Yes, indeed it was. Of course it was. At some point in time, it was deemed a more valuable strategy to be more hyper focused on the outside world problems, because that will solve the inside world problems. When was that? Probably childhood. What was that like? What's that like? What's that like? What's that like? Can you be too smart? Can you be too smart? Well, if you're trying to get your needs met in life, since all we're trying to do is get our needs met in life, if we're assuming that smart is what gets you your needs met in life, then perhaps it's not possible to be too smart. But as we know, being smart is not necessarily the way to get your needs met in life. So you can be too smart, as being smart is dealing with outside world problems. But as you know, there are no outside world problems, only inside world problems. Why are you bothered by the outside world problems? Well, I don't have enough money. Well, what kind of inside world problems could have been solved such that you would have had more money by now? Well, these outside world problems bother me because these people hurt my feelings. Well, what part of your inside world was damaged such that they can hurt your feelings? Or what part of your inside world was needing, what part of your needs were not met such that you need to be around these people? Or what kind of needs were you not meeting such that you were not saying the right things, or you were not acting the way that you would want to that would make you feel satisfied with these people? Do you have outside world problems at all? Are outside world problems existing? Or are you only in those specific vantage points to care about those outside world problems because of inside problems that have not yet been met? Your inside need to love yourself, your inside need for validation, your inside need for approval, your inside need to help with your abandonment issues so that you won't be in these situations where you feel like you have an outside world problem of, oh my God, I care about how they feel about me. But what inside world problem has not been solved yet? Being too smart. Well, I have to say these proper things so that they care about me a certain way. Well, what part of your inside needs make you wants them to care about you a certain way? What part of your inside what part of your inside needs are not being met such that you need to care about these people so much that you need to manipulate and you need to dodge and really keep in line and really control the situation so much? What inside need is not being met? What inside need is not being met such that you need to calculate so much of the social situation and that this situation is so dire? What inside needs are not being met? Are there really any outside needs? Are there really any outside problems? Are there really any outside world problems to be too smart about? Are there really any outside world problems? Can you be too smart? Can you, if you're thinking that smartness is the way to get your needs met, then perhaps. I'll be right back. Please pretend that there's a candle in front of the lips that you're trying to not put out. And to leave your swallowing muscles alone with me. Again, would you please pretend with me that there's a candle in front of the lips that you're trying to not put out. And to leave your swallowing muscles alone. Gotta take a short break, but one more time, please pretend with me that there's a candle in front of the lips that you're trying to not put out. And to leave your swallowing muscles alone, just observe your sense of self. I'll be right back. Using our sense of the world to make sense of the world. World peace through individual strength, individual inner peace, awaking the worlds up mentally, physically, spiritually, and then physically again. Why? To feel so much better objectively. And how's that even possible? Well, with the help of your No Nonsense podcast, pal. Go on. But mainly through you from the inside out, as we are allow these words enter one ear and then out the other. Of course, always. And just extracting the meaning that makes sense to you, of course. Because words are just tools. Words are just things. Words are just words. The meanings are so important, of course. Are there any outside world problems at all, or just inside world problems? Are there outside world problems at all, or are there just inside world problems? So as you know, we just have these inside world needs, right? As we're always just trying to solve these needs, as every creature is just always trying to solve these needs. So can you be too smart? Well, is being smart your best route of getting your needs met? We are just here to meet our needs. We're just here to meet our needs. Can you be too smart? Well, what are your needs? Is being smart a need, or is the need to be, or is there a need to be liked by smart people? Or is there a need to solve certain problems? Or is there a need to know certain things so that you can be accepted by certain people? Do you even need to know certain things, or do you need food? Is that a need? Do you need to know certain things at this university, or do you want to be, or do you feel that there's a need inside of you to be accepted into certain social clubs? Do you need this job, or do you need the money? Do you need this relationship, or do you need a family? Do you have a problem is which that you want this girl, or do you need the kind of affection that she gives you? What is the need? What is the need? Can you be too smart, as we are all just here to we are all just trying to search for ways to get our needs met on this earth? Can you be too smart? Well, if being too smart prevents you from getting your needs met. And what are your needs met? For most of us, to be happy. For most of us, our need is to be happy. To have peace, right? To have peace, which eventually gets you a lot of happiness. But to have peace, right? To have peace. Most people's goal is to be happy. Most people's goal is actually to have peace, but they think they want to be happy. You can't always be happy. You can have peace, which is the ability to deal with all of it. You can't always be happy. Everyone knows that. The second you're happy, well, you know that there will be a time in which you will be less happy. So can you be too smart? Well, since we are just like every other creature, we are just trying to get our needs met and trying to look for ways to get our needs met to the best of our capacity. And if being smart past a certain limit, as in if being thoughtful about how to solve problems in the outside world gets in the way of getting your needs met, then yeah, maybe there's a time where you could be too smart. Because what is being too smart? Hyper focused on problems of the outside world. This can come from extenuating outside world circumstances. Being hyper focused on the outside world, right? If someone were to describe being too smart, be like, well, there are times when the outside world might have extenuating circumstances, and it's our first reaction to fear it growing up. Like, when you're a child, your best way of getting your needs met is to be observant of the outside world. is to observe the outside world closely. As a child, that's the best way to get your needs met because you are beholden to the people around you. You aren't actually in control of your own destiny from the inside out as a child, as you are being taken care of, as you can barely move your body properly, as you can barely even understand your own desires properly. Your brain isn't fully developed for most people until their early 20s, especially for men. So when you're a child, paying attention to the inside world is perhaps more confusing, perhaps actually more detrimental to you getting your needs met, as you are not able to help the people who actually do get your needs met. The people who get your needs met as a child are your caretakers, people who are watching over you. So when you're younger and when you're a child, the most optimal way to get your needs met, as you are this vegetative yet growing window to this godlike experience that you are already but are also becoming every day, as we are growing every day, there is a time that was a time in which the way to get your needs met, the best way, was to pay attention closely to the outside world. Hell, even your own inside world needs met were hard to understand just by looking at your own inside world. So what benefit would you have of getting your own needs met by watching too closely at your inside world? Nay, when you're a child, the best way to get your needs met is by observing closely the outside world, a world that makes more sense than your own inside world at that point. And the people who are feeding you, the people who are taking care of your sleep schedule, the people who are taking care of carrying you over to your bed or carrying you around with them, they need to be taken care of, as in their needs need to be met. They need to not be inconvenienced by you. They need to like the way that you smile, the way you look, the way you smell, the way you act. They need to like those things so that they care about you in the most highest stake situations, you know? Of course, when everything's calm, of course, we give our equal attention to whatever we can, blah, blah, blah. We do our best. But when situations get extreme and people need to focus on different things, parents got their own lives and stuff like that. As a child, to increase your highest rate of getting your needs met, you are biologically programmed already to know that you must pay attention closely to this outside world that this outside world that gets you your needs met. It's good to be smart. It's good to be anticipative, which is smart, right? Being anticipative, ability, like you're anticipating being able to handle these scenarios by learning and studying them, these outside world scenarios, making sure that they don't happen to you again. Right? You study this outside world carefully as a child. You're like, okay, but when I make these faces, they like that. When I say these things, they like that. And when they like me, I get my food needs met. I get my toys needs met. I get my social needs met. So you study closely to the outside world, right? When you're a child, it gets you your needs met. That's where this smart spirit comes from, is you're studying this outside world to anticipate the times in which you won't get your needs met. And so you anticipate how to affect the outside world. You anticipate how the outside world will behave so that you can continue to get your needs met. You're anticipating, right? This smartness. But the thing is that when you get older and you're not this dependent little baby anymore, not only do you get stronger, but like your needs grow as well. And you have more of them. And you can see them more clearly. So you feel the disparity between you and your needs even stronger. As you know more of the reality, as you get older, you start to understand more of the consequences of not getting your needs met. Or you start to understand more of the consequences of getting your needs met. You understand the joys and also the pains of needs, your inside needs, whether you meet them or not. And so as your relationship with your needs gets stronger and your needs continue to grow and become more complex and nuanced, the way to best get your needs met, which you also care more about now because you're older, right? You have more capacity for emotional connection. So not only do you have more needs, but you can see them more clearly and you care about them more as you get older. As your brain begins to understand more connections and more meanings as it's a wonderful godlike creature you. beautiful creature, you amazing machine, you start to see that the best way to meet more of these needs with more satisfaction for yourself is to observe the inside world more closely. What do I mean by that? Well, the main reason why you don't get your needs met as a child is because you're not cute enough, is you're not loud enough, is because perhaps you're not quiet enough. All things related to other people taking care of you and how they're going to take care of you, which is good. It's good to have these skills as a child. It makes you a great child to take care of when you're very agreeable with. You're very concerned with how people are in the outside world and how people are relating to each other in the outside world so that you can get your needs met. You have foods, they need to be fed to you. You can't get your own food. You can't buy your own food. You can't even hunt your own food. You can barely lift your own glass when you're like, what, 1 year old, or when you're like a couple of months old. You can't do anything. So your entire body's paradigm, your entire mind's paradigm is all about appeasing other people, making sure that they like you. So we all have that spirit deep within us. It's very instinctive. However, when you get older, you realize that to get your needs met, especially because you have more, you have a stronger relationship with them, and the needs are more nuanced, perhaps, you find that to get your needs met in a more satisfying manner, because you care more about satisfaction now, right? Because you're an adult now, or you're getting older. Your need for satisfaction also grows. As a child, you're just like, and then your needs get met, and you're just like, okay, I'll take it, because you have nothing to compare it to. You get older, you find more things to compare it to. It becomes harder to meet these needs, which is a good thing, though, as it motivates us and continues to energize us as human beings, right? So as we get older and our needs become harder for us to meet, which is also an inner need, right? Our ability to feel satisfied in our own needs meeting. We see that we see that the way to get our more complex and deeper and more intimate needs met is not to observe the outside world closely, as our needs might be more nuanced than simply pay attention to me, but rather might be pay attention to me for an extended amount of time. Or pay attention to me and also don't pay attention to that person. Or pay attention to me while you're also giving equal attention to these other things. So as you are getting older and you desire more from the world, want more from the world, you begin to see that the way to get more of your needs met is to not observe the outside world as closely, as there are many things going on, right? Even if you're trying to get needs met from like a girlfriend, there are many things going on. If you're trying to look at it, you're like, okay, I notice that she acts this way when I do that. I notice that she cares about this thing when she does that. I notice she cares about this thing and that. Looking at the outside world, trying to predict and trying to be too smart about what this person needs can land you in trouble, because you can never piece together in all those little things in the ways that this person can. We're looking at a 2D object, something that is being created from a 3D machine. We're looking at a 2D object from something that is continuously being generated from the inside in a 3D world. You're only seeing one side of it. It's like you're looking at one side of the tree forever and never looking at the other side of the trunk. You can never. And even then, the only way you could ever know the entire tree is by cutting it down, and then you could see the inside. But then even then, you don't really understand. There's just so many mechanisms as to what created that outside view that you saw. So trying to learn about it completely, forget about it. The only way that works is like when you're a kid, where their attention is on you all the time. Then it's like, okay, I can see closer of what decisions are being made, because the decisions are being made revolving around the care of me. You are like literally the world. However, when you get older and nobody is dependent or is that person for you, as you get older and nobody is watching you like that, or nobody is entitled to feeling that way about you, the way you get your very complex needs met is not by observing the outside world closely, as you're trying and ever so daily failing, trying to understand the 3D mechanisms of this thing from this outside world 2D perspective, right? Trying to understand this 3D this 3D world of this girl's life from this 2D outside world perspective, which is you. No, the only world that you can know from 3D, which everybody is doing, is your own inside world. And you know that that's the way to get your actual needs met. As you cannot control all the things you want to control in order to get your very complex needs met as they get more and more complex. And your needs get more and more complex as you get older, but our ability to affect the outside world gets less and less close to what we want to do for our own satisfaction needs. So you might say, Herbie, how can you say that there are no outside world, that there are only inside world problems? How can you say to only study these inside worlds, right? How can you say that it is impossible to study the outside world, and that you should only look at the inside world, Herbie? You might say, sometimes the outside world is so insurmountable that solving the outside world is just too strong for some people. That people are mean. People lie. Hours are long. It's too hard to get followers. It's too much money to do what I want to do. There might not be enough support. How will I manage my other dreams? There might be all these other questions, you know? But why are you around these mean people? Why are you around for these people to lie to you? Why is it in you? What is it? What inside need is inside of you that's telling you that you need to save face with these people, that you even need to care about them? And then for like a job, you're like, oh, these outside world problems are just too much, Herbie. I can't focus on the inside world problems because I have all these hours I gotta work. Well, what in you is creating this need that you need to work all those hours? What in you is telling you that you need to have a certain amount of followers, that you need to have a certain amount of support? And what makes you, furthermore, what makes you think that when you get that certain number, that it would even satisfy you in the end? What makes you think that there was a certain number that would satisfy you? Because some guy on Instagram had that many followers? Because this person had that much amount of money that you saw before? That this person that you look up to had that amount of money, and that solved their problems in your eyes? You know? Like, the problem is that these all might be problems, right? The problem is that you might feel the problem from the outside. Like, you might feel the problem like, oh, I don't have enough money, or I don't have enough followers, I don't have enough support, or I must have this amount of money, I must have this amount of followers. The problem with looking at those kinds of problems and not looking at the inner needs that create those problems, or that we use those different tools in life to solve. The problem at looking at those problems as problems and not tools, like not having enough followers. The problem of seeing is that as the problem and not a tool to solve an inner problem of needing support or wanting to chase your dreams or whatever, is that yes, these might be problems and you might be able to feel them and see them on the outside world. But the only ones you can truly know, the only ones that are actually real, are these inside world problems. How do you know that you need 5,000 followers? How do you know that you need $500 billion? How do you know that you need 20 friends? How do you know all those things? Only because of these inner needs that you have. The inner need for companionship, the inner need to share an idea, which you need money to share. The inner need to create a safe environment for your family, which having a good social circle can do. These problems in the outside world, like having not enough friends, not having enough money, not having enough cash, not having enough followers, not having a big enough following, not having your dream job, not having a dream wife, not being good at this dancing thing. These problems may exist. But how do you even know that they're real? Oh, I want to dance. I want to be good at hot dog eating contests. I want to be good at video games. Well, why? What is that inner need? What is that inner need? Is it the inner need for companionship? Is it the inner need to feel appreciated? Is it the inner need to be happy? Is it the need to not feel lonely? Is it the need to feel useful? Is it the need to feel like you won't be abandoned? Is it the need to feel like you are allowed to be happy? Is it the need to feel like you are not abandoned? And these inner needs exist, and they might feel unmanageable and scary and overwhelming, but at least you know them. The need to have companionship, the need for love, the need for understanding, the need for companionship, the need to not be lonely. It might be scary to have these needs and to confront these needs, but at least you know them and you can get to know them. They might feel unmanageable, but at least they can become manageable. At least they are known to you. But at least you know them and they are actually knowable. Unlike these problems in the outside world, you don't know what's going to happen. You don't know who's going to come your way. You can't control who's going to come your way. You can't control what's going to happen in the outside world. You can't control where the cars are going to come from. You can't control what people are going to pass through your lives when you enter that new job. You can't control who's going to show up at this party. You can't control who was born on what day for what party to be on what day so that you can meet such and such person. You can't control the different opportunities that arise in front of you, or the different struggles that arise. You can't control the weather. You can't control, maybe there's an eviction thing and you're in a totally new environment, and like 2 years from now, you can't control that. The people pass away from you that you care about. People might enter your lives, might re-enter, might leave. You can't control all those things. They are not knowable, those problems of the outside world. But the feeling of wanting love, feeling of knowing that you don't want to be lonely, the need for shelter, the need for care, the need for social situations, the need to talk, the need to speak your mind and be understood and be heard. At least you know those. Those other things in the outside world, you can't predict what's going to happen, but those needs need to feel loved, need to have a companion. At least you know those needs and they'll be with you and you can get to know them. And so at least you have some hope of dealing. And so you have some hope that it'll be easier in dealing with this kind of struggle just as much as any kind of struggle. And so that this time that you're spending dealing with this struggle is not wasted. The outside world, unable to know all those problems, spend all your days being super smart, being able to understand, like, whew, here comes a new problem. Boom, bam, I can handle that. Boom, I can handle that. Boom, boom, boom. Yeah. Well, what do you need to be smart? Does that make you feel good? What are your needs that are being met? Bah, bah, bah. Yeah, you feel safe, but what are your needs that are being met? Is it possible to be too smart? Is it possible to be too smart? Is it possible to be too smart? Well, if you're using smart as the way to deal with outside world problems because you believe that that's a way to deal with inside world problems, then it might be possible to be too smart. If smart is handling with outside world problems, being focused on outside world problems is not a way to solve inside world problems. If being smart is handling outside world problems, then is there a way to handle outside world problems too much?
They don't know.
Well, by prioritizing outside world problems.
I don't care about what's going on in the hood.
Why would you not want to prioritize outside world problems? Well, both worlds, inside and out, always giving you reasons to fear. Both worlds, inside and out, are always giving you reasons to fear. So we get smart to try to deal with it. The fear from the outside world, the danger from the outside world. To anticipate the danger of the outside world, we get smart. Because there's every reason to fear the outside world. So we get smart to anticipate the outside world to meet our need of safety. But our our needs not best met from the inside world? Aren't our needs best met from the inside world? Isn't being smart a way to meet some of our inside world needs by focusing on outside world problems? But don't we solve outside world problems every day just by being ourselves? Just by searching inwards? As in, both worlds are always giving you a reason to be afraid. The inside world giving you a reason to be afraid. Oh, if I don't manage myself, if I'm that selfish again, if I'm that frivolous with my money, I might land myself in destruction. If I'm that mean, I might not have no friends. If I don't say the right thing, I might not get that girl. There's plenty of reasons to fear the inside world, right? And then there's also plenty of reasons to fear the outside world as well. Of course. The world outside is scary. There might be things hurting you. There might be people that want to aggress on you. There might be people who want to harm you.
Come back to haunt you. Turned on the TV this morning. Had this shit on about living in a violent world.
That was lame. Both inside world and outside world giving you plenty of reasons to be afraid. The inside world giving you reasons to be afraid of yourself, of you landing yourself in destruction if you're not careful, if you're not watching yourself carefully, and then the outside world itself always feeling like it's out to get you. Both worlds giving you every reason to fear, giving you many problems. All these problems to concern yourself with, to threaten your happiness with. Both worlds, inside and out, giving you every reason to fear. Every reason to concern yourself with these problems. But only one world actually gives you the ultimate power to deal with these problems. And in the other, almost none. In one world, you have the ultimate power to deal with it, to deal with these problems, to deal with the fear. In the other world, almost none. As in living in the inside world and focusing on the problems on the inside world provide you a kind of ultimate power, as these problems exist within you and you can know them in 3D and also are able to handle them in 3D. Yes, these problems within you might be super powered, but since they are within you, guess who is also super powered? Guess who is also super powered within that realm? Those problems within you might be super powered, but guess who is also super powered when in that realm? Again, in the inside world. Those needs that you're trying to meet, those inside world problems, might be super problems in the inside world. They might be like superhero level. You might have superpowered levels problems in the inside world. Feelings of loneliness, sadness, betrayal, regret, resentment, all these inside world problems. The feelings of desire for companionship, the feelings of desire for food, the desire for love, deep inner scarring problems as they exist in this inside world where they're just so powerful and overwhelming. But in this inside world, guess who is also powerful and over friggin' whelming? That's you, baby. That window to that godlike experience that you are, you godlike creature, you. Guess who is also superpowered? Guess who also defies all logic and is overwhelming in that inside world? So yes, there might be problems from the outside world, problems from the inside world, But one of them you have almost no power to do anything about, and you can never know the problems of in this outside world. And the other world, you have all the power, and you can always begin to get to know more and more and more and spiral upwards your intimate relationship with these problems. And aren't you always ultimately just trying to get your needs met? Aren't these problems needs? Let's be superpowered. It is 6:53 a.m. Thank you guys for joining today on another Truth Hurts Day. It is August 5th. It is Thursday, August 5th, 2021. Being too smart, is it possible to be too smart? Well, we're just here to get our needs met. You're gonna be wasting time in the wrong world? In the world, concerning yourself with the world, with problems that you cannot predict and can do barely nothing about? You gotta cultivate that inside world where you be a superpower, super body, went into a godlike experience, having the ultimate power. We'll see you tomorrow. Why anticipate when you can feel? To send you up properly. What was I thinking? What's the big deal? My name is Herbie. Let me know if you can feel. Please pretend that there's a candle in front of the lips that you're trying to not put out. And to please leave your swallowing muscles alone as you observe your sense of self. Again, please with me in your first podcast in 3D. Please pretend that there's a candle in front of the lips that you're trying to not put out. Just leave your swallowing muscles alone. And to observe your sense of self. Thank you for joining us for another episode of Pow Go On. Better than your morning would feel without. This has been Pow Go On. There's a candle in front of the lips that you're trying to not put out. And to leave your swallowing muscles alone. And to observe your sense of self. Feels so good. From the inside out. Better than your morning would feel without. First podcast in 3D. Have a great day, guys. See you tomorrow. Woo!